In this video, I will show you a couple of pointers on assembling straight parts with your Wonderstrucks kit. As you can see here, I'm working with sheet 1 and sheet 12, which contain the parts you'd need for a straight part.
You'll notice that on these straight rail pieces, there's a small bit of material where the rail was attached. This is the side that the ball rolls on, so we're going to want to take our sandpaper and just sand that away until it's nice and smooth.
Notice that I've already lined up the sides of the straight rails so that the circles or holes are on one side. That's because we want to make sure we keep those on one side, and that's always going to be true. Whenever you have rails that have dots on one side, you want to make sure they line up on the same side of your part. Okay, so I'm just going to take the parts and put some glue. Now what I like to do is kind of collapse the other ends so that they fit. Go ahead and put glue everywhere it needs to go. You can either put glue on the tips of the rails, or you can just put some glue where they're going to seat in the end piece. Now, a couple of things. You're going to want to make sure that you go back and check that all of your rails are fully seated in both this direction as well as outward. So I like to push them in and up, in and up, in and up, in and up. Now I know all my rails are seated. The next thing I'd like to do is test that everything is square. And so I do that by putting with a straight piece. You can just put it on the table and roll it. And you can see there that I've got a little bit of wobble. And what that tells me is that something is not square. So I can kind of adjust it. You can see that you can still adjust the squareness by hand. Much? Okay. Now let's test it. Looks pretty good. And one more tip for setting up your straight parts. Inside of these end pieces are some little fixturing pieces that you can put in. And this just kind of makes sure that you can hold the rails at the proper spacing. So you can put one in the middle and one at either end. It's not essential that you do this, but it's just one more step to kind of guarantee that the rails are kept spaced apart while your glue is drying.